Good evening. Officially calling to order the Monday, February 2nd, 2026 Lee County Regional Planning Commission meeting. Let's start with a roll call.
Chuck Beckman, not present. Ben Forster,
Present.
Ellen Smith,
Present.
Emily Pratt,
Present.
Chris Jones,
Present.
Amy Palmer.
Present.
Okay. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes of the November 3rd, 2025 meeting? Can I entertain a motion to approve?
I move to approve the minutes meeting, whatever. The approval of minutes for the meeting of November 3rd, 2025.
Take it a second.
Second.
Okay. That's approved. Do you have a specific order you'd like to go? Alice?
We can start with the old business tonight. Petition number 25 PC 83 by the Lee County Building Official. Mr. Bay is present tonight to talk on this petition.
Good evening, I'm sorry.
Does he need to swear in?
I would say no, he's just giving an update tonight.
Okay, perfect.
Unfortunately, we weren't able to get the Title IX completed. So I would ask that you table it for till the next meeting session where it will be completed and we will have it in its full board ready form. And I will be emailing it to you prior to that meeting so that you can review it. Does anybody have any questions?
Could we get a motion to continue to the,
Can we get a motion to table it until the next meeting?
I'll make a motion to table
Second.
petition number 25, et cetera, until the next meeting.
And I second it.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
okay, under new business, we have petition number 25 PC 84 by the Lee County Zoning Office. This is a text amendment requesting to amend chapters 1, 4, 5, and 9 under Title 10. The purpose of the text amendment would create regulations that would allow accessory dwelling units in Ag 1, R1, and R2 districts.
Promise to tell the truth? To
I
the best of
do.
your ability?
I do.
Okay.
All right, you guys have a copy of this in front of you tonight. It is the lengthier document. Accessory dwelling units. How many of you remember this discussion within the last couple of years?
Is this one where we talked about mini
Tiny homes?
tiny homes, right?
Mhm. Okay, so at that time, we were getting maybe 4 requests a year for this type of use. Since I would say about third quarter of last year, that has increased to about 1 to 4 requests for this use a month. So recognizing there is the potential need in Lee County for alternative types of housing, this would be geared more towards your aging parents or aging adults that need on-site care. They may not want to live with their caretaker, but they could have an on-site home where that caretaker could live and they both could have their independence. Vice versa. Husband and wife take in grandma and she's going to live in the tiny home on their house while they take care of her. Disabled adults who need independence but might not be able to fully be independent. we are in a housing crisis for affordable housing. So I do think that kind of plays into this. So those are the driving factors behind this ordinance. What I did is I did look to other counties to see what they're doing, how they're handling this. LaSalle County does have language in place for this type of use, and that is what we mirrored our ordinance off of. If you look at the copies, I think you'll be able to see in red where it's been added. The language will be the same, and it'll just be listed under each district that it applies to. So there is no change between Ag 1, R1, and R2, but we still, because of how the ordinance is written, we have to place it under those specific districts in order for it to apply. So it's the same rules will apply for each of the districts that it's allowed in. Let's see. Okay, so this would apply to any standalone accessory structure or maybe an existing structure. So you have a pole building on your farm, you want to convert 800 square feet into a living arrangements for somebody. That would be allowed under this code. Homes or properties that already have two-family home or multifamily homes would be excluded. Those are allowed in the R2 district, two-family homes. Multifamily homes are typically allowed in R3 and R4. So probably not going to see that, but possibly two-family homes. There's already an existing two-family home where we don't really want to add a third unit, essentially. Building codes will apply, as will health department codes. It'll be limited to no more than 2 bedrooms. It will have to be smaller than or equal to the size of the principal dwelling on the property. So if you have a 1,200 square foot home, you cannot build a 1,800 square foot accessory dwelling. So lots or parcels containing an accessory dwelling unit shall be owner occupied. The owner may reside in either the principal residence or the accessory dwelling unit. No one shall occupy the owner's unit when the owner is not residing on the property. And there is a homestead exemption that would apply to those utilizing this use, so long as they're doing it in compliance with the code. 1 accessory dwelling unit per parcel. They would have to have 2 parking spaces provided. No more than 35 feet in height. Same setbacks would apply to this structure as it does to the principal or any other accessory structures on the property. The minimum square footage would be 450 square feet, and we'll go up to 900 square feet. We do not allow mobile homes in the Ag district, R1 district, or R2 district. So the reasoning behind keeping it at that square footage is to try to eliminate the possibility of a mobile home that would be used in that way. A deed restriction shall be recorded by the petitioner that requires at least one of the structures on the property to remain owner occupied. The purpose of that is so that we don't have a bunch of pop-up rentals occurring. We know that's going to happen. You know, you can't control everything, but by placing these steps in there, we hope to minimize that use, but also provide homeowners, you know, the homestead exemption to help offset taxes as well. One thing that I did not include in the text that I think that should be considered is a minimum acreage requirement. This kind of goes back to the Sublette and chickens discussion. So that kind of made me think, what about this use in our small towns? Sublette, Compton, Harmon, West Brooklyn. Now, the majority of the lots in those towns are half acre or less, maybe even a quarter acre. Do we want to allow this type of use on smaller parcels, or do you think there should be a limit? And that concern comes in with the health department. So the main reason we require a minimum of 2 acres to develop in the ag district is so that we can meet the requirements of the health department for well and septic. The lowest they'll go is 1 acre. So all of our 2 lots you will see are typically 1 acre in size. So I feel like putting the 1 acre minimum in there will help people decide if they can do it or not. If we don't put it in there, the health department is still going to stop them. But what I don't want is someone to get, to the 11th hour and then find out they can't do any of this. So that would be my only suggestion at this point, is maybe adding that 1 acre minimum requirement, just so that it is clear that, not everyone's going to be able to do this. You are going to need more space, and that is to accommodate well and septic. Anytime you add a bedroom, whether it's to your existing home or if you're going to share a septic with this new accessory, that will affect how your septic should be sized. So when my office gets an application to add on a home, if they're adding on a porch, no problem. They're adding on a living room, no problem. They're adding on a bedroom, okay, you're going to have to go talk to the health department first to make sure your septic's adequate enough to support that additional bedroom. So that would be my only suggestion with that. Do you guys have any questions?
So are we requiring that they share a well? If it's a well, or we're not requiring it, or sharing septic, or we're not, or?
So that will be up to the health department to make that determination.
Okay.
So that's why in here, it states that the accessory dwelling unit shall meet all building code requirements and the Lee County Health Department requirements regarding well and septic.
Okay.
So if that is the case and the only option is for them to share a well and the health department says we can't issue you that permit, that will end their ability to be able to proceed with this type of use.
So the health department used to require 3/4 of an acre, then they upped it to 1 acre. And the theory was 1 well, 2 septics in a 40-year span.
Can you say that again, please?
The health department used to require 3/4 of an acre, and then they moved it to 1 acre minimum lot size. And that was to accommodate both 1 well and 2 septic systems in about a 40-year span on the property. So. I agree with parcel size requirement.
Okay.
I mean, we need a motion from the floor, but we can also have more discussion.
Just some more facts, sorry. Before I started down this road, I did reach out to Soil and Water Conservation District, our health department, our county engineer. And basically at 911, I reached out to 911 and the sheriff's department. I wanted to know, is there anything we're overlooking? The only feedback I got was from 911, and they do have a concern with how we're going to address these properties so that it's not confusing for emergency responses. If there's an emergency occurring in the tiny home around a shed, emergency first responders are going to show up to the principal residence when the emergency could be little bit of ways. So I am working with Director Dallas to try to get that figured out. So we will come up with a method, but that is the only response I got back from other county officials on this issue.
One thought on that is maybe A or B at the end of the address.
They are not fond of A or B or decimals, but
What do they like?
hey, whole solid numbers.
Whole solid numbers.
Yep.
Hmm,
Anything from 1 to, yeah. As long as it's within the address range that is allowed by the state master address guide.
Okay.
So I think that's probably ultimately what we're going to do. She is, and I am also reaching out to LaSalle County. How are you guys handling this? And we'll probably do something similar.
What kind of feedback did you get from the health department?
None, no
Okay.
concerns.
Okay. Is it common for people, for multiple units to share a septic?
I have no idea.
I mean.
I know it
I know
occurs.
shared wells are common. I'm on one
Yep.
and that works fine.
I know there's legalities with sharing systems. So you might have to have some legal contract if there is a sharing situation, but that's about the extent of my knowledge, unfortunately. If you would like me to get answers from the health department, I can. Okay,
I'm satisfied.
absolutely. Mhm.
So if your septic system is already sized to handle 2 units,
Probably not.
it. Fair. So I sold a property that had 2 septic systems on it. They thought the original septic system that the health department had on record, the one was going to be too small for the size of the house, the one that was already there. And we had added 2 bedrooms to this house. It was fine. The newer one was fine, but they had a record of 2, so they had to figure out which one was active. So.
And records are interesting. Yeah, the further back
very
it
much so.
is, it's hard to get information on old systems. So we are finding that out.
But a lot of times they oversize the system to accommodate for lots of people.
Yes.
You have to remember, families used to be a lot bigger as well. Yeah. So it could be a matter of having to redo the septic with a larger tank size or a larger evaporation field.
So in that, going back to that sharing situation, I believe the sharing gets complicated when it's separate parcels and separate owners. So you and your neighbor have your own parcels, but you share a system. I think that's where the legality comes in. These parcels are designed to stay as one parcel, one unit to serve the entire parcel is my understanding. So depending on what your system has been sized and how many bedrooms you have may or may not determine if you would need to upgrade in order to accommodate the ADU. But that will be something we will be encouraging people to do in my office. If they're calling up to us, we already do that, with building permits. Reach out to the health department, reach out to highway, reach out to these and make sure there isn't anything that you need from them.
I think realistically with ADUs, they're eventually going to turn into rentals
It-
as life happens.
Correct. And that's why I say, that is not the intent. That is not really the best use. We know what's going to happen. And we'll have to deal with it as it
Sure.
arises.
But as far as the well and septic issue, then you know, you have a landlord slash tenant situation, so that's all going to fall to the landlord anyway. And the
Yes.
property owner's ultimate responsibility, so
And if
I
they had
have
a,
less concerns about that.
if they had a tenant that was wanting to split off the tiny home from the main property, it might be doable, it might not be doable. It'll depend on what size ADU is placed on there, whether they can meet the minimum requirements for ag district or, yeah. So we know it's going to evolve. But I think given the time that we're in, I think it is something the county should consider. LaSalle County does require a special use permit in order to have this use. So that is a required public hearing. It's an added expense. We have opted not to go that route. I think it is a use that so far the vibe I'm getting is that this is a use that we do want our constituents to be able to use without having to go through that extra hurdle of another hearing. And I think that will, setting that minimum acreage requirement will definitely help minimize potential complaints from neighbors as well.
Is there any concern about these dwellings sharing a driveway?
No. Nope, it'll be one parcel, so one access point will be, it will typically be what they, either the highway commissioner or the road commissioner for that township will want. They typically don't want a bunch of little driveways all next to each other.
What about subdivision covenants? Because some subdivisions have covenants against such things.
Yes, and so covenants are tricky. I cannot enforce them as the zoning administrator. The county has no ability to enforce any private covenants of any subdivision. So White Oaks, there's limitations on what size accessory buildings they can have. Now, somebody comes in and they say, I want to do this use. I want to put a tiny home on my property, and I'm in White Oaks. My job is to say, okay, you need to look at your covenants and make sure you're not in violation of your covenants. If you do violate your covenants, any member of that subdivision or members can collectively sue you for violating those covenants. So that is something we try to educate the public on so that they know what they're getting into before they get started. If they want to take it forward, we did have a guy. He put up a very large building in an area that's not supposed to have it. Neighbors weren't happy, but no one sued him. So that was a risk he took. So far, it's worked out in his favor. Might not always be the case, though. So it's just something we'll let them know that you need to know what you're doing and what the consequences may be.
Okay, this is another question.
Mhm.
The ADUs that I'm most familiar with seeing is from HGTV. And it's usually converting a separate garage area. Would those fall under these
Yep,
signs?
yep.
If you got the acreage?
So apparently, I don't know if you've seen those portable sheds out by County Market. Apparently, those are converted into living space. We're keeping the language pretty loose. It's in line with what we would require for any type of accessory structure. So there are there's a variety of options that people could figure out. Not a camper, can't be on wheels, so no mobile homes, no campers.
Has to have a permanent foundation.
Yep.
Has to meet building codes,
Yes.
so you're not just dragging a shed out
I know.
there. You did well on this one.
Yeah, it sounds good to me too.
I do agree with your parcel size recommendation. And is there any other?
Yeah, I mean, as long as you talk to, the fire department of each, maybe just like Sublette, for example, who's always doing rural fires, just how you can distinguish them from the main residents to make it easier for them to figure out where they're going, and maybe some signage from on the building that'll be easier to see from the road. Maybe a
Yes.
light on top of the number or something like that, so they can see it in the dark.
Yep. We do have some homes that are down very long lanes or even, or
Behind
easement
trees
and
or
cut through a
something.
property.
Yeah.
They all are required to place signage because if they don't, services may not get to them. So it's, well, what we tell them, and most of the time, that's enough for them to put up the signage, so.
Any further discussion? Would anyone like to propose a parcel size motion? Minimal.
I would like to move to recommend that a 1 acre parcel size be added to the petition.
Is there a
Petition
second?
to the
I second.
text amendment.
Are you
Can I say
doing
that?
2 motions or 1 motion?
I can do it all in one if you want me to.
I just, I
You
was,
can do one motion to recommend it with the added change of a 1 acre.
There you go.
Minimum parcel size.
So moved, recommending it with adding the 1 acre minimum parcel size.
And I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Recommendation carries.
okay. The last one is petition number 25 PC 85. This is by the estate of Richard Fluck. This is regarding the Coyote Corner Phase 2 subdivision. This is located south of Rock Island Road on the east side of Atkinson Road.
Can you pull it up on Google Maps?
Yes. Okay. So. Up here on the board, the area that you see highlighted in yellow is Coyote Corner. Phase 1 is down here, south of Karen Court, or actually along Karen Court. Sorry, try not to jump around. This green line going across here is the subdivision line for Phase 1 and Phase 2. Phase 1 is south along Karen Court, and it is developed. Phase 2 is north of that subdivision line, where you see all of these yellow but undeveloped lots. So, back to the petition. Mr. Fluck passed away last year unexpectedly. His widow is currently going through the process of trying to administer his estate. She is not able to develop the subdivision. She has not been able to find any buyers for a subdivision. She would like to sell it as farmland. Agriculture is not prohibited in the R2 district. In order for her to be able to advertise it as farmland, we have to undo this subdivision essentially. Otherwise, if she were to advertise it for farmland, say right now it's currently being row crop farmed. Say we left it as R2, new owner buys it thinking it's ag because it's being farmed. They want to put livestock on it. Now we got a problem because the neighbors to the south might not want livestock by them. So we need to go through and get this cleaned up so that she can sell the land. Last month, she did go before the zoning hearing officer to amend the map to take the zoning back to ag, and that was approved on January 22nd by the Lee County Board. In reviewing the Plat Act, which is the statute that dictates how we subdivide land, in order to undo a subdivision, we basically have to go through our subdivision steps in reverse. So recently, we had Coventine Fidus's preliminary plat come through. We had a sketch plan, preliminary plat. So in looking back, trying to go back and undo what we've already done, we're kind of at an advantage because nothing has taken place in this subdivision. There are no utilities. No electricity has been established in phase 2. Everything is relegated to phase 1. There's no private water established in phase 2. No natural gas, no telecommunications, no cable. As part of the hearing process to take it back to ag zoning, we had to notify soil and water, the Lee County engineer, and the health department. None of them have any objections to this going back to ag land. Because it is a portion, a very, very teeny tiny corner of this subdivision is located within the 1.5 miles of Dixon. So the city of Dixon has reviewed this petition and they had no objection to it going back to ag. So tonight, what we are looking for is a recommendation from this committee to allow for the vacation of the plat for Coyote Corner Phase 2. That will then go to the county board. The county board will issue a resolution, and then she will just have to record that resolution with our recorder's office, and then it will effectively be unplatted and she will be free to sell it. I believe she might already have it listed. I said, be careful, just make sure they're aware that this is all in process. But I don't see anything stopping this from happening. No one has raised any concerns or objections to this, either the rezoning or this petition to vacate the plat. Does anyone have any questions?
Is it currently being row cropped?
It is.
So are any of the roads in section 2 built?
Nope, nothing has been developed at all in phase 2. Even that little portion of the roadway, that little part of Karen Court, even that's not developed. So that's it. You can't even really get into phase 2 because the roads haven't been constructed.
That answered my question.
That was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was just if the roads have been built and if they've been dedicated to the township yet or anything else. So if they don't
Nope.
exist, then it's not a problem.
And we are not touching anything in phase 1. That will remain as it is platted.
They probably won't be disappointed.
Nope.
I know
Somebody
they
take, is somebody taking ownership of that piece of hypothetical roadway between the two pieces of property on Karen?
So technically, that is considered right of way.
That's probably an easement on that one lot.
Unless there's access
Well,
to-
actually, when phase one was initially platted, it did not include that roadway. When they did phase two, they amended the plat to include that roadway into there.
There's no house.
So,
Mm-mm.
no,
To the left, no.
Those are.
Yeah.
no. So technically,
Could be.
on the west side of that road, unbuilt roadway, should be two lots.
So the
It's
hard
actually
piece is
one and a
fight
half
over
under
who's
one
gonna do it.
ownership now.
Yeah.
But that area of land is considered right of way, so we can't touch it unless that is vacated. So owner of the subdivision or any member of the subdivision could come in and request to vacate that roadway. So.
So I think the big question is, it's before this committee. Are we recommending that we deplat the subdivision to the county board? Or not recommending to deplat this
Hang on, I
subdivision to
had
the
it.
county board?
It would be a recommendation to approve or deny the vacation of the subdivision plat of Coyote Corner Phase 2.
Can I ask one more question?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So, you mentioned if an ag buyer, ag buyer came in thinking it was ag and they wanted to have livestock. This doesn't affect that.
What, because it's been rezoned to ag, it will not affect it. But as of right now, even though as of last week or a couple weeks ago, it's now ag land, it's still in those little lots. So it is cleaner to take away those because say a farmer purchased it but left it platted and it's all zoned ag. Well, his buddy thinks, well, I like one of those lots. I want to build on it. Well, they won't be able to because it requires a minimum of 2 acres in the ag district versus the 1 acre in the residential. So it's more or less just to clean it up so that there's no issues down the road from any potential future buyer.
So what I was thinking was if we unzoned it, we took it back, took out the subdivision. redid it,
Yes.
And it was sold as ag, then there would still be no restrictions in terms of that person putting in livestock.
Nope, they could come in and do livestock.
Okay.
And we went through a public hearing for the map amendment. Because of the solar hearing we had, the parcel to the east is going to be developed for solar. I had a lot of communication with the residents of Coyote Quarter Phase 1. I let them know her intent and let them know that the hearing would be upcoming. So if they had any concerns, wanted to voice any for or against, they would be able to do so. They did not have any issue. So they've had their chance to speak on it. If something occurs now, as long as the owner of the land is acting in compliance with the code, they're going to be good to go. So.
Okay.
Any further questions or discussion? I'd entertain a motion.
I've done all the talking tonight.
I move to recommend the vacation of the final plot of Coyote Corner Phase 2 to the county board.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
I,
Any opposed? Recommendation carries.
Real quick, one last thing before you adjourn. I did hand you another thick document entitled Public Act 1040458. So recently, the state of Illinois recently passed its omnibus energy bill. This bill includes changes to our wind and solar and adds standards for energy storage. It starts where this blue asterisk is. It ends on the very last page where the blue line is. Anything that is new has been underlined. Anything that they've stricken has a line through it. So this is just for your information. A couple of the major changes that are really going to affect the county are the limitations on building permit fees and hearing fees. They have capped those, and it is really limiting what counties are able to capture both for the hearing phase and for building permit phase. So other than that, there are going to add regulations on the energy storage. They are now using the term energy storage as opposed to battery energy storage because technology is getting away from battery and they're using different forms of energy as batteries. So that is why you'll see that term and less of the battery energy storage. Our county, Lee County, is currently under moratorium for standalone battery storage. If it is accessory to a wind and solar project, we've had to allow them. With the standalone projects, so we've been under moratorium waiting for the state to adopt language so that we weren't creating language and then having to change very shortly after. So technically we have 120 days from June 1 to get this into place. It goes into effect on June 1. I really hope to have it in place by June 1 here in Lee County. So we will have hearings coming up. The Illinois Association for County Board Members works with the firm Heil Royster. They have developed 3 templates for the changes to the wind and solar, and then a draft for the energy storage requirements. So Lee County is looking to adopt from those templates. I believe I got them today from that group, and I will email those out to you guys so you can take a look at what is being proposed. We will not accept them. We will not adopt them as they're written. It will be our starting point, and we may or may not change a lot, but I just want you to know that these are just drafts. It's just to get us going. We will be very limited about what we can add and subtract, but if there is something that we can do that we've done in Lee County, we want to see continue, we're going to try to keep it in there. So that is all I got for you.
So we can't charge as much? Is that what you said?
Correct.
Well, that's
correct.
too bad.
Yes and no. So on the hearing application fee, the statute's pretty clear that those funds, when you take those in, you can only use what you're needing to have your meeting. So any money, so for example, the energy companies, 5,000 megawatt up to $100,000. I won't accept more than 25,000 from a company because we don't need to hold that much money. We don't come near 100,000. It's also in the statute that say I only accept 25 and we end up going over that. They're still required by the statute to pay for anything that goes above and beyond what they've put down. So that statute's been pretty clear. On the building permit side, that's kind of where it seems like, counties recoup a little bit. We've had our fee schedule for energy projects in place for many, many years. This is prior to the state adopting standards in 2023. We kept our schedule because we have a 20-year history of energy development in Lee County. We didn't just take a figure and pull it out of the air. we've been exercising these fee schedule for 2 decades by the time the state came in. Well, with our fee schedule, you look at our very, very large projects, and we could essentially bring in millions on a building permit fee. Is that right? So it's, they're trying to cut back on counties gouging these energy companies because they should have the money. At the same time, though, really limit what the counties can do. And that's kind of always been a little bit of a blessing, is on the building permit side, we do recoup a little bit more, and that does help the residents of Lee County. It helps this building run, it helps other buildings run. So it's needed, especially in these small counties. So that was probably the biggest ouch in that document, but there is a little bit of legal leeway, I'm finding out, so we'll just kind of have to see how things play out.
So the fee schedule is not in alignment with ours. Cut it way back.
No, I think they capped it at maybe, it's either 75,000 or 150,000. So way less than what we've captured on, I want to say, back in the day, I want to say they brought in maybe 300 grand on wind energy,
Mhm.
So the size of the projects we're seeing are way bigger than when they were when we established that chart. So I get it. May not agree with it totally, but I do have some understanding where they're coming from. I just wish they would have asked for more input from the counties, but
Sure. Okay. So you're foreseeing some meetings in our future? Okay.
sorry.
Any new business, other new business? Okay. Your motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay.